and gentlemen, the National Park Service and the United States Navy welcome you to Pearl Harbor. Please remain seated for the duration of the boat ride and watch your step as you embark and disembark the vessel. Standing is not permitted at any time while the vessel is underway. We ask that you silence your cell phones and refrain from texting during your time on board. Once we approach the USS Arizona Memorial, the U.S. Navy will maneuver the boat so that everyone has an opportunity to take photos. But again, no standing is permitted for the duration of the ride. If you have any questions during your visit today, please speak with a National Park Service representative after you return to the Visitor Center. Once again, welcome to World War II Valor in the Pacific National Monument, which is the proud home of the U.S. Memorial and the USS Utah Memorial. Today, the U.S. Navy and the National Park Service will take you on a harbor tour of Pearl Harbor and bring you close to the USS Arizona Memorial and the valiant ship that lies beneath. We are now in the South Channel of Pearl Harbor, where the infamous Battleship Row was once located along the southern coast of Ford Island and off the bow of the boat as we cross the harbor. It is here that the great warships of America's Pacific Fleet were moored on the morning of December 7, 1941. From right to left, there was the USS Nevada, Arizona, the repair ship Vestal, the Tennessee, West Virginia, Maryland, Oklahoma, from the harbor, and a short distance from shore on the opposite side of Ford Island. The mighty battleships were the backbone of the Pacific Fleet, and each boasted a crew of nearly 1,500 men. In all, almost 200 American vessels were located in Pearl Harbor that day. Off the starboard bow, or right front, of the boat, you can still see the white concrete mooring keys that continue to display some of these names. The battleships, which were built in the 1930s. The Pacific Fleet tended to tie two ships together, one inboard, closest to the keys, and one outboard. The mooring key closest to the bridge was reserved for the USS Nevada. The Nevada was the only battleship to get underway during the attack on Oahu. She pulled out just before 9 o'clock, after the first wave of planes had left and began to attack. She was badly damaged by Japanese dive bombers and torpedo planes, and eventually was purposely run aground on a coral ledge to avoid sinking. USS Nevada's guns boomed once again as she provided fire support for Americans who stormed the beaches of Normandy, southern France, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Continuing on, the attack on Pearl Harbor began at 7:55 a.m., with torpedo planes coming in waves from both the north and south, while flying at an altitude of only 30 feet. The first few torpedoes slammed into the hull of the USS Oklahoma, exactly in the spot where the battleship Missouri is today. Oklahoma began to tilt, and in less than 12 minutes, she had completely rolled over, only stopping when her masts hit the bottom of the harbor. She had taken as many as 8 torpedo hits on her port or left side. This was a crippling blow, and consequently 429 sailors and Marines were lost on the Oklahoma. A memorial dedicated to these men was erected on the shoreline, where many of her crew first set foot on Hawaiian soil years ago. The West Virginia, Tennessee, Maryland, California, and Pennsylvania were all damaged to varying degrees during the attack, losing almost 250 crew members among them. Despite sustaining this as well, both of them would play a vital role in the coming conflict in the Pacific. On December 7, 1941, the USS Arizona was moored here next to the USS Vestal, a smaller repair ship. At 7:55 a.m., the ship's air raid alarm went off, and the ship soon went to general quarters. The call for 800 kilogram, or 1,750 pound, bombs. At 8:06 a.m., a fatal blow struck the Arizona. The Japanese bomb cut through the deck in the vicinity of gun turret number 2, which would have been about 200 feet to the left of the memorial. Seconds later, it detonated the ammunition magazines located in the forward section of the ship. The result was a massive explosion that tore the ship in half and set off a fire that burned for more than 2 days and consumed 1,000. This includes every member of the heralded USS Arizona Band, 23 sets of brothers, and even a father and his son. The mighty Arizona was just over 600 feet long in her day, about the length of 2 American football fields. Although she would never be returned to service, 2 of Arizona's gun turrets were salvaged for later use in preparation for an upcoming trip to the mainland. Much of that oil caught fire and burned following the attack. However, the fuel it remains slowly leaks from the wreckage at a rate of about 1 to 2 gallons per day. The National Park Service Station has referred to these surfacing drops of oil as the black tears of the Arizona. Although there is no way of knowing how long the oil will seep out, many believe that the ship will continue to cry these black tears until the last survivor of the USS Arizona passes on. The USS Arizona Memorial is 184 feet long and is suspended directly over, but not touching, the wreckage of the USS Arizona. It was completed in 1962 and dedicated on Memorial Day that year. The designer and architect was Alfred Price, who created 3 main parts and flags in the center. Mr. Price stated that his design represented American pride before the attack, the sudden depression that followed it, and America's eventual rise to victory at the end of the war. At the very back of the memorial, nearest to Ford Island, is the shrine room. Covering its back wall are the names of 1,177 American servicemen who died on board. That is the largest loss of life of any ship in American naval history. 2 separate sections display the names of USS Arizona survivors who later, for 7th, can elect to have their ashes placed within the wreck. To date, over 40 men have already rejoined their shipmates on board. World War II came to American shores, men and women fought and died side by side. Many of them remain in these waters and in the surrounding landscapes for eternity. We, the living, are left to understand their story, remember their sacrifice, and honor their memory. As we return to the visitor center, we ask that you remain seated as the U.S. Navy brings the boat to the dock. If you have any questions, please find a park ranger or volunteer here at the visitor center, and they'll be happy to answer your questions. On behalf of the National Park Service and the U.S. Navy, thank you for visiting Pearl Harbor. We hope you enjoy the remainder of your visit and wish you farewell.
先不问最后。